Hey guys, I know it's been a long time since I made a video. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I was just having some issues with school and other things, and so I either forgot to make a video or I just didn't have the energy. But I'm done with school for the summer now, so I'm going to be making videos at least mostly regularly. I'm not gonna, yeah. So today's topic is what a world without discrimination based on gender would be like. Now, I don't think that a world like this could exist on Earth, but I do think that we can get closer to it and farther away from it at different points in history and in different societies. Because, like if you just study the history of any one society or empire or region or whatever, values sort of fluctuate, including what kind of discrimination and how severe discrimination is towards various groups. But, you know, if this fantasy world actually existed, I think it would look very different from our own. Like, I mean, this is a channel like about non-binary people, so, you know, like obviously if there was no discrimination based on gender, there would be no transphobia and no non-binary erasure, and that would change a lot of things for us. Like, our identities would be respected, and you know, people would actually listen to us and not suppress our history. But I think the biggest change would be the difference between the relationship between men and women. 'Cause if there was no misogyny, like, I mean, that would be great, but, you know, there wouldn't be men's jobs and women's jobs. Oh, things that people were talking before in their videos was like, and like some things that people commented on was, is it possible to have gender roles in a world without discrimination based on gender? And I think, you know, the answer is no, because gender roles, by saying like, you know, people saying like women are like this or women should be like this, it's just because, you know, the only difference between men and women is that they are men and women. Like, gender roles, well, you know, generally gender roles judge people for whether they fit into them or not. But even if someone, like, I think in general society is not like this, but I think there are people who like feel like men are one way and women are another, so they do buy into gender roles even if they don't look down upon people who reject these gender roles. But that is still, that's still discrimination. So like, whether or not you judge someone, like whether or not people would judge someone on whether or not they fit into the gender roles. If they subscribe to those gender roles, it's still discrimination based on gender. So without gender roles, well, one thing that would change a lot is people's appearances. Like, just think about like how different fashion would be. That would be really interesting. Like the only difference between, because someone else, I don't remember who brought this up in their video as well. There's some people who think that gender is, how do I say? They think that if gender roles were gone, and we didn't discriminate based on physical sex, that, like gender itself would be gone. And there would be no men or women or non-binary people. Like it would be we'd all be the same and there would be no gender. I don't think that this is true. I'm not completely sure, but I personally think that gender or lack of gender is just it's part of who you are. And that's like a whole nother video on the idea of gender being a social construct, and is it not, what does it mean if it is or if it is not. But I'm getting a little off track here. What I'm trying to say is that I think that in this fantasy world where there is no discrimination based on gender, we would still have men and women and non-binary people. I figure there would be a lot more people identifying as non-binary because they would know about it in the first place, like because nobody would be suppressing non-binary identities, so it would be a normal part of society the same way the male and female genders are. So a lot more people would know about it, and even and then people wouldn't have to worry. We wouldn't have to choose between accepting ourselves or having, or like being true to ourselves and risking our lives or our families. But I still think that there would be men and women. And I think that men, like the binary genders do make up a majority of the people out there. So yeah, most people would still be men or women. There probably would be more trans men and women, like people who are not out to themselves yet in a world like this where it's so dangerous, would be able to know and accept themselves in this world without transphobia. But how did I start talking about this? I feel like this was like a tangent that sort of tied into a longer thread of conversation, but I forgot what I was saying. I think it was about clothes. Like I was saying, the only difference between men and women's clothes, if there was one, would be like fit. Because I figure, yeah, that's what I was saying. I figured there would still, like, the majority of people would still be cis men and women. But I guess that raises the question, if there's no discrimination based on gender, which means there's no transphobia, would there be a societal divide between cis people and trans people? I guess a good question to ask is, what can we do to get closer to this goal of a world without discrimination based on gender? And I think that just fighting sexism and fighting transphobia, we just need to keep on doing those things. And I don't think that we'll ever reach a world where we are completely free of these things. But I think that we should aim for that. Like, because we want to get as close to that as possible. So we should continue, aim for perfection, and accept that we cannot get there, but also that we can do a lot better than we are doing right now as humanity. So yeah, I think this video is gonna be a little bit short. I haven't made a video in a long time, so it's kind of hard for me to stay on one track of thought. Yeah, so I hope everybody's doing well, and if you're doing finals, then I wish you luck. Don't stress out too much. Get enough sleep. Yeah. Okay, so I'll see you guys next week. Bye.